All good?
We're now live.
All right, the time is now 6:54 PM and the executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were Town Administrator Gloria Kochberger, Town Clerk Matt Green, Town Attorney Clayton Buchner, Mayor Pro Tem Sally Barney, Trustee Barella, Trustee Uyghur, Trustee Birma, Trustee George, Trustee Harper, and myself. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes there was any improper discussion or improper action in violation of the open meetings law, I would ask that you state your concerns for the record. Seeing none, we'll now take a 5-minute break and we'll get started with our regular meeting at 7 o'clock.
Right.
Tyler, there's cookies over there if you want some. I told everyone else, but there's cookies, coffee, and tea if you need any.
Wow. Amazing. We figured it might be cold up here with the,
Yeah, we thought we might keep us warmer. Hi, Dana. Hi, how are you? Good, how are you doing? Great.
Hey, Dana.
Shane, how are you?
Pretty good.
Hi, guys. Sick from the audience. Oh, Tyler, a
yes.
question for you. Do I need to give people special instructions? Like, how do people get into the room?
an hour ago. But she had a positive one today.
She had it. That just.
All right, whoever would like to do the Pledge of Allegiance, let's go ahead and do that now.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and
justice for all.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to a technically regular meeting of the Silverton Board of Trustees. It is April 11th, the time is 7:01 p.m. We're rolling through from a special meeting and we already did roll call, so I will go ahead and just call this regular meeting to order. And jump right in. Do we have any staff or board revisions to this evening's agenda?
I wanted to add one thing if possible. I wondered if we could add a trustee discussion under new business E to discuss a letter that we could potentially draft to support the county's efforts to address OHV management in the county.
Sure.
I think they're meeting, it's on their agenda for this coming week, so it would be nice to show support.
Yeah. Does that sound good to you, Gloria?
Yes.
Okay, so
Right.
we'll add that to 8E as 8E.
8E.
Right.
So are these microphones working or there's no lights on?
There's just no lights.
Oh, okay.
Jess, can you hear us okay? Okay.
And Gloria, did you have any other revisions to the agenda tonight?
No, I did not.
Okay, great. All right, we will move on to item 2 on our agenda, public comment. We'll start with any in-person comments and then we'll move to Zoom comments. Please introduce yourself and you've got the floor for 3 minutes.
Good evening, Deanne Gallegos. I just wanted to say to this board this evening to please consider on the item of Columbine Park, to consider getting that project through and done. That has been a very long-standing conversation in this community. My 8 years of being a chamber director, and it was literally 3 years ago today that Michelle Fury is interim administrator, myself from the chamber and Bill Walco from Blair Street Association went to Aspen. We were asked to go to Aspen as part of DCI's In the Game. And it was a tri-county project for diversifying our economy. And actually it was supposed to be a rebuild after 416. Durango did local first, got that done. Eureka created an education program, got that done. What was on our agenda was Blair Street, Columbine Park and sidewalks. Not quite done on the home stretch. But after listening to last week's meeting, I actually stopped and listened to it again just to really hear the conversation and maybe some of the, apprehension. Like coming out of the pandemic, I get sticker shock every time I hit the gas pump, the grocery store, the utilities, like across the board, sticker shock. And what else did it teach us? That life is unpredictable. We never know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. But what I can say is Columbine Park is not just potty park. It's not just restrooms. It's actually improving quality of life. It's a year-round events venue. Please don't chop away at it. Please don't continue to pump the brakes. It's my understanding that this is shovel ready and can literally start next week and we can reap this benefit from next year. When is the last time as a community that we've actually erected something, not just worry about not taking care of what we have, but when have we built something new and something cool? Some of the best times I've had in the summers have been in that park. And I'm having my 50th, owning it. First thing I wanted to do was rent Columbine Park. Heartbroken it wasn't available because it should be under construction. So please don't let the legacy of this board be killing Columbine Park. Let's put something brick and mortar and erect something from the legacy of this board. You guys really brought the nose of the plane up. You've done a fantastic job. You've shown our community what agreeing to disagreeing and actually coming together for the community looks like, and supporting your staff. The one thing I really heard was your staff advocating it for it. And that's really the job, right? Is to empower staff, let them make good decisions. We can afford it, and if we can't, we'll figure it out. But please consider pushing Columbine Park forward, and let's get it done and be in the park next summer with live music and cool amenities that this community just hasn't seen yet. Thank you.
Thank you, Deanne.
Hello, my name's Michael Lawyer, and I'm here to talk about Columbine Park. Thank you, Deanne, for saying that. I think this is a silly conversation. That park, that bathroom, one of the walls is a tarp. It's been that way for 4 or 5 years. If there was any other building in this town that was looking like that building, you guys, as the council, would come and say something. Because it's not underfunded, it's not this, it's a black eye for this community. It's been a tarp, no joke, a tarp, and not even change the tarp. It's a tarp blowing in the wind. Something needs to happen over there. And if it's not, and if it's not in your guys' ability to fix, what needs to happen is it needs to be torn down, period. And just become open space. And if, I think a bathroom is what this community needs. You see that train come out and it's people heading to the bathroom. But if we can't do that, we got to do something. And what that entails, if you ask me, is to tear that down, put some more grass down, do something with it. It is more than an eyesore. It's ridiculous is really what it is. So I hope you guys make the right decision here and do something with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other in-person comments? Okay, moving to Zoom comments.
Join a panelist.
Join as panelist?
Yes.
Hi, Casey, you have the floor. It looks like you're muted.
Hi, my name is Casey Lashley. Definitely not trying to contradict D or disagree or agree. I just had one comment regarding the Blair Street Columbine revitalization project. After reviewing the plans and the notes,
Uh-oh. Let's go to the next one. Hopefully she pops back on and we can start over with her comment. Hi, Bill. You have the floor. If you unmute yourself, you have the floor.
Okay, I'm Bill Walco, head of the Blair Street Historic District Association. We have worked for a long time in this community to develop a plan for revitalizing Blair Street. It consisted of 2 projects that work in tandem to really elevate the community. Tonight, we're talking about Columbine Park restrooms. We have a beautiful plan for that. And we know that the funding is present, but the costs are going up rather dramatically. And this is a consequence of the times that we're in. There's really little we can do about it, but we certainly know that delaying it any further is going to only make it more painful. So I am here to advocate on behalf of all of the stakeholders for the Blair Street Association and the projects that we have discussed to move forward with this. I ask for the full support of this board. I think it would be a wonderful legacy for this board to vote in favor of moving forward with this. since we actually have all of the pieces aligning at this time. And we really need to move forward on this. One of the things we've talked about more broadly is how do we get visitors to our community to be the kind of visitors that we're really seeking as a community, not the ones that come and tear up the backcountry, but the ones that enjoy Silverton, respect Silverton, and value Silverton. One thing that we can do to encourage that type of visitor is to greet them with the kinds of facilities and amenities that they come to expect wherever they go. So we have a responsibility as a community to do this. And in partnership with the town board and the community as a whole, this is our opportunity to do that very thing. So I ask for your support. I ask for your vote to affirm moving forward with this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. And then let's go back to Casey.
All right, sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened. My name is Casey Lashley. I think I can skip some of this. I hate to be late to the project and complain at all. As a Blair Street resident, I definitely agree that something should be done. And as a restaurant owner, I pray for bathrooms every day. However, I just want to point out that at this cost of $915,000+, the town could build almost 2 of the houses that I'm building, which for an example for everyone is 10 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms. So 20 bedrooms and 12 bathrooms. I'm not stating that we should build employee housing with this money. I understand that the intention of the grant is for the parks. I would suggest that the town get a second opinion on these engineering and architectural plans and reduce the cost of structural building material. Reconsider things like radiant floor heat, epoxy floors, spray foam insulation, standing seam roof, sizing down and structural and lumber packages, and use of concrete. Reconsider the showers and the cost of the landscaping. For example, we couldn't afford to spray foam our entire house. We could only do the roof due to the cost. This is a house and it's not a bathroom. We couldn't afford the Cadillac of roofs known as the standing seam roof. And while these things are really ideal, I think for a bathroom and garage, this feels really overbuilt from a taxpayer's perspective. As someone who has seen firsthand the increase of construction costs, this seems excessive, and that with more review that this could be a lot more affordable. Considering the town has already approved the $500,000, it seems that it would make sense that before we approve doubling the amount of the project, that we consider all spending. I can understand that this is a 90-10 grant, but until the grant is approved and finalized, we should consider budgeting our money as wisely as possible. I apologize for making a comment on something kind of late like this, but I hope that the town does reconsider some of the spending in this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol, the floor is yours.
Good evening. I'm Carol Wilkins, a citizen of Silverton. And I actually have 2 comments to make this evening. One of them is about the Columbine Park renovations. And I think that I know that the prices of everything, everything are going sky high. It seems like everything is becoming unaffordable to do. But if there's some way that we can do something with Columbine Park with the renovations, I think that would be really a good thing for Blair Street as well as Silverton. It's one of the first things that people who get off the train see. And really when people come in and ask us in our store where the restrooms are, it's kind of embarrassing to send them over to Columbine Park currently. But it is what it is, and that's what we have. And so, like I said, I understand that, you're being fiscally responsible in your roles as trustees of the town. But if there is some way that we can get this, done, that would be great. My other comment is on the special events ordinance. And I think that the special events guide needs to be revamped a little bit. It's pretty, it's very complicated. And how can we pass a special events ordinance that relies on a special events guide that is incredibly complicated and not very user-friendly? I think that the board needs to really think about that, because it's stated in the ordinance that it's going from the guide is the procedures. So anyways, just food for thought. And those are my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Hi, Lisa. The floor is yours.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I just wanted to quickly comment as a member of the Silverton Creative District Board and also the project manager for Summer Sounds on the question of Columbine Park and how important that park is as a community resource, not just for the Summer Sounds events, but for other events like the Farmers Market. There's lots of possibilities over there. And our costs to produce the Summer Sounds series this year will be significantly higher because we do not have a sound stage to utilize. The Mike Giriak soundstage is a fantastic asset for this community. The restrooms in that park are not. We need to do something about that. It's probably our most used public park in town. And upgrading that, I think, will be an enormous boon for event organizers, for the community in general, for all of our visitors that come through every summer and all year long, actually. So I would really like to voice my support for that project and the hard work that the staff has done putting that together.
Thank you.
And I'm trying to click on your panels. There you go.
Hi, Ken. Floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Ken Webb. And yeah, I just want to speak to the same thing everybody's speaking about. Having a business, I had a business on Blair Street for around 18 years before I moved over to Green Street. And one of the reasons I moved to Green Street is because Blair Street, it's bleak. It needs help. And, you know, and as been said, I won't say it, repeat a lot of stuff, but the first thing people ask when they get in my store, because I'm right close to where the train is A, where's the bathroom? And you point them that way. And actually, before I was in my last location, I was in Old Town Square, and we had private bathrooms there, and people would go there because the other bathrooms, they just didn't want to go in. And actually that was a long time ago, and they were in better shape than they are now. So I just really feel that Blair Street really needs a lot of help to get things over there. And there's been so much work put into this plan. I hope it just doesn't fall through the cracks. So I speak in favor of that. And then it's going to sound like I live with Carol, but I also want to speak towards that. The guidelines to putting on an event. We're in the middle of trying to put on an event, and boy, the guidelines are just gotten, I think they need more help. And I know they just got voted in, but I just wonder if all the trustees actually read all the way through those guidelines, because I thought the purpose was to kind of streamline the guidelines and make them more user friendly and help people want to put on events here in Silverton. So I would be in favor of voting that ordinance through tonight until the guidelines have really been looked over, and maybe you guys have already looked them over enough, but it didn't seem like they were helped. Anyways, thanks for letting me share. Thank you for all your service you guys do.
Thank you. I don't see any other public comments at this time, so we'll go ahead and close this public comment period and move on to item 3 of our agenda, which is approval of the consent agenda items. And for everybody's context, we're doing this agenda in a slightly different order in order to resolve ongoing projects that this board's working on prior to the transition later in the meeting. To the consent agenda item now, we have continued business next, and then we'll move on to the transitions and then do some other fun stuff after.
I would just like to state that one item has been added to the accounts payable. That was $260 to the Colorado Municipal Judges Association, and that is for training for Judge Edwards to attend later this month. We just got that check or that invoice in after I had printed out the AP schedule for the packet and added that last minute.
Great, thank you.
I also wanted to make 2 comments on the consent agenda. In the financials, the communication and events coordinator position has been miscoded to the deputy clerk position, and we're working on ratifying that. Unfortunately, it is out of both Matt and I's hands, so we are working with the payroll department at this point. And then in the consent agenda, there is the notice for Summer Sounds, and I wanted to state that the liquor license has been approved at this time. It wasn't when we were putting together the packet, so.
Also heard from Lisa that the Summer Sounds application says that it occurs on the 4th Friday in the memo, but it's actually 3rd Friday.
Okay, yep.
Okay, so with those amendments, I can make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Barella.
Yes.
Trustee Harper.
Yes.
Trustee Weaver.
Yes.
Trustee Bierma.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes.
Passes with roll call unanimously.
Thank you. So now we'll move along to continued business. 4A, second reading and consideration to adopt ordinance 2022-02 special events.
So I debated on pulling this when we had talked about our any adjustments to the agenda, but I really wanted to kind of create a discussion with you all. We have received many comments on the special events guide, which we are reviewing at this time. The policy document that is the policy document that supports the ordinance that is in front of you. The public comment regarding the ordinance were to ask us to define duration, frequency, and interval between special events, as well as increasing the parade permit from 50 people to 75 people. And so I would actually ask that we table this, reevaluate it in the Ordinance and Personnel Committee, and talk that through a little bit more. We don't need to rush through this. We can be very methodical about this one as we move forward. So that would be my recommendation, is to bring it back to the Personnel and Ordinance Committee based off of our public comment.
Would it make sense to invite the public to the Personnel and Ordinance Committee meeting that covers that to do a work session with public input? Or would it be better to filter it with the committee first, then put it back out to the public?
Well, with our new committee procedures, they have the ability to comment on the Personnel and Ordinance Committee. So I think that would probably suffice. And I can also bring those comments to the Personnel and Ordinance Committee so we can evaluate them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in addition to that, if there are, you know, like Lisa and Carol have events sort of in the near queue who are also local residents who have quite a bit of experience, if we looked at that queue of people who are organizing special events, sort of the test drivers, and just reach out specifically to them to have them be in attendance, you know, their experience. I think I was looking through it, just planning my little ski race this year. And I was like, oh boy, if this is what I'm going to have to do to plan a little ski race for 25 kids, it's going to be a lot. So I understand that feeling, but you know, it's something that's planning a little tiny ski race event and, I guess not our contractual partners now, but I don't know. I think it's worth sort of looking at the scope of that with the test drivers.
So do we need a motion to table the ordinance?
You got that? The bag's gonna blow right out.
Blustery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to table the
I'll second.
ordinance.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Barella,
Yes.
trustee Harper,
Yes.
trustee Uyghur,
Yes.
trustee Bierman,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney,
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes.
Motion to table has passed unanimously.
Awesome. Did you have a date in mind, Gloria, for when the next Personnel and Ordinance Committee meeting might be?
And I will coordinate that. I would like to coordinate it now with the organizers as well to make sure that we can kind of have them all at the table.
Cool. Sounds great. All right, so moving on to continued business 4B, second reading and consideration to adopt ordinance 2022-03 relating to Code of Ethics.
And so on this one, I haven't received public comment on the ethics ordinance since it is an extension of the state statute, and this would be ceremonially adopted into our code. So we will also be holding an ethics course with the new board as part of the retreat.
Any discussion, or would someone like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-03?
Yeah, looks good to me. I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-03.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Barella,
Yes.
trustee Harper,
Yes.
trustee Uyghur,
Yes.
trustee Bierman,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney,
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes.
Ordinance 2022-03 passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right. Moving along to continued business 4C, consideration to approve resolution 2022-11, a resolution to authorize the expenditure of $915,530 for the purpose of revitalization and development of the Columbine Park project and accept the 9318 construction proposal.
So just to put it all into context, the town issued an RFP on February 29th, 2022 for the construction of Columbine Park building, which includes information center, year-round bathrooms and showers, a concession area, outdoor venue, garage space, and office space. The RFP deadline was March 25th. We received one proposal from 9318 Construction. So this is continuing our conversation on awarding the RFP for the build of Columbine Park that we tabled at our March 28th meeting. Let's see, staff does recommend this project, but ultimately it is up to the trustees if you'd like to approve the extra funds necessary to complete the build by May 2023. The current bid excludes the landscaping and park elements that we would likely be budgeted for in September for 2023 budget. And then Todd is here too, if you have any questions. Can you promote Todd to panelist as well?
Absolutely.
Well, is Todd going to speak to this before we?
And Molly has one too. No, he's not. He's here to answer questions.
Okay. Sorry, Molly, go ahead.
Ms. Lashley brought up some very valid points, but at the same time, I mean, we had that project out there. The plans have been available for everyone to see. We've discussed this continually. I don't know about the rest of you, but I remember when the Blair Street Association came to the board originally and was asking for this to start getting these grants together so we could do what was addressed in public comment by Mr. Walco and Deanne Gagas. This is something that needs to be done. I agree that maybe we could have done it in stages or backed off on a few things, but we're down to the point that it's shovel ready and we need to get moving on it. I don't want to wait. I'm 100% for this. This is about the community. This is about those businesses on Blair Street that we need to be supporting. I've been wanting this project. I'm sure Jess is in the same position. For the last 4 years, we have been talking about this. This needs to happen for this community. It's not just about dollars right now necessarily. It's about helping Blair Street look more presentable. That's right. I mean, come on. Those have not changed since I was a child, and they were built before I was a kid. So we're going on 48 years that I've seen those look the same way. So they're not nice, they're not new, they need to be taken care of.
Yeah, I agree. So
Todd had his hand up.
Oh, well, Todd, do you have anything to add to that, or?
Sure, I just wanted to add real quick. You know, I listened to Casey's comments. They certainly are valid, especially when you're discussing the use of taxpayer funds. But I do think it's a bit difficult to compare this project to a residential construction project by nature, because a lot of what we've done is, you know, a lot of the price tag really is in the restrooms themselves. We're using commercial grade fixtures on everything. And we really learned from maintaining this building the last few years, you know, how we think we can address a lot of issues. So something like radiant in-floor heat might seem excessive, but I do feel that that's going to really help us in the long run. And this building is built to last. We see a lot of water on the floor in there. And our thought was maybe this can help mitigate it, along with drains in the floor, et cetera. So I did really just want to touch on the difference between commercial grade and residential grade building, because there can be a really significant gap, even in just faucets, fixtures, sinks, stalls, and the commodes themselves.
Yeah, and I think so. I agree with Molly, and we spoke about this in our last meeting. I just don't foresee, like, if we wait, building prices aren't going to go down anytime soon. I just can't imagine that's going to happen with what's going on in the world. And punting it down the road it's not a good idea. And one of the things that nobody has, I haven't heard anybody mention, is it's also a sanitation issue. If people aren't, you know, we're in a pandemic still at the, you know, hopefully towards the end of it, but people aren't, you know, going in there to use them and washing their hands, and we can't, you know, safely take care of that part of it as well, then it becomes a public health issue. And yeah, I understand that, you know, when I looked at the new quote compared with the old one, I was taken aback, but at the same time, it's either, you know, do that now or wait until it's another, you know, $400,000 more. And, you know, I asked you at the last meeting, do you think we can do this? And you said yes, and I trust your assessment, and I hope that we can all get behind this and get this done.
Yeah, I'll speak to that. I wholeheartedly support the project. I do want to address, you know, I think it was important in our last meeting to look at the cost, have some time to ask questions, digest. I think it was prudent, and we are spending taxpayer dollars. And so, and we have had a couple weeks to look at additional information. We have a really detailed memo from Todd speaking to the cost and the loan costs. And I think that's really helpful to make a good decision. And I think it's smart of us not to, by no means do I feel like we're rushing here. This has been going on for many years. This is not a rushed decision, but we did get a big sticker shock last week. So we waited, and I think that was smart. And I think for all of the reasons that everyone has said, and spoken to, those are the reasons to invest in this project. And I think Todd said it best in our meeting last time. I think he really made the case for the bathrooms and has been for the last few years. And I actually would make the argument that it would be irresponsible of us to not invest taxpayer dollars in this project. I think if Gloria says we can do this, if we can pull it off, and we have the funding and we have the capacity and we have, this is, I think Deanne said it, this is the home stretch. It would be tremendously wasteful and not okay of us to not reinvest money into the community this way. So for that reason, I support it. And I also think that to speak to some of my earlier thoughts about opportunity cost, you know, looking at like a price tag of $1 million starts the wheels turning about like, well, what if we did this or what if we did that? And, you know, that there are a lot of choices there. And I think it's important to just note that this is the project that's in front of us. It's the one that has all the plans. It's been approved. There's potential grant funding to go behind it. And we're going to work with a local contractor who I think is accountable to the community and I think will work really well with our local community subcontractors. And I think that's a responsible decision on our part as well. And I think the overall design, which we've also discussed at length in other meetings, is to build for longevity. And I would make the case for all in, all of it. I know we're going to postpone landscaping and sort of the exterior elements, but when it comes to that design, I think we've heard over and over again that beauty is sustainable. And so I think we want it to be high quality, really beautiful, you know, planning for like the long-term strength of the building. So I would advocate for making it happen as it's been designed and planned.
I'm happy to take a vote on it unless anyone else has anything to say.
I'd like to say something. I raised most of the negative aspects of this last time, I think. And I heard a lot of public reaction to things that I said last time. Things that make me nervous are the looseness of the bid right now, not because Brian didn't do a great job at it, but because there was information that he wasn't able to get from the town in time. And I just want to go into this fully eyes open with everybody before we make the decision. Included in the cover letter for the bid said, I've included proposed budget based on drawings provided, but the drawings were very limited with details. Structural drawings were not attached for the building and foundation, so I assumed a few items to give the city a budget. I'm skipping some of the good parts too, so please note that I'm only reading the negative here. The lumber package and concrete foundation were bid on very little specs. Builder's First Source has an in-house structural engineer that's working on the structural lumber package to give a more accurate number, but he was not able to complete the package in the time allotted. So a number has been inserted for the approval. Once the package is returned, we can add the lumber number and be more accurate. And he also says we'll need to rebid and reprice items as the project moves forward because there's so much volatility right now. So what I think we need to think about is the cost of this project being okay with the cost of this project being significantly more than what we're currently looking at. Landscaping is not included. I would add a 20% margin to the current bid, just based on what we don't know. And I would probably add another like $100,000 to $300,000 for landscaping and other work that we need to do to make the thing ready for the public. That all said, I've had conversations with Gloria about this, and she believes that we can afford it. And I think that the lease purchase that she worked out is super affordable. And so even if those prices do go up significantly, the total price for the project may seem like a huge number to the community. But the annual cost to the town is very affordable. So I do support this project at this cost. But I want everybody to know that it may be a lot more expensive by the time we're done. to a vote.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the proposal from 9318 Construction for the construction of the Columbine Park facility and park and the adoption of resolution 2022-11.
Jess would like to say something.
Oh, before Jess.
Yeah, I think where I'm coming from is nobody really wants to feel like they're getting taken advantage of. And it's certainly not with taxpayer money. And that is why I was hesitant in the last meeting. Even though I've been pushing this project forward from the beginning, I feel like it's extremely high price tag. I read the cover letter and I take issue with the fact that he says that there's no markup. We see a 10% general contracting fee on the entire project. So that's markup of materials and labor and everything else, in my opinion. That being said, I'm happy to support the staff and I'm not going to go against this board. I want to see this go forward. So if our administration thinks that we have the money and we can make it happen, then let's do it.
I'll second the motion that's on the table.
I mean, read the part about the proposal for 9318 and not also the approval of the resolution. Did you also say that?
I was just going off the motion or direction. I didn't make it all the way through, so I can read it again if you want.
Okay, let's do that.
I can make a motion to approve the proposal from 9318 Construction for the construction of the Columbine Park facility and the park and the adoption of resolution 2022-11. A resolution to authorize the expenditure of $915,530 for the purpose of revitalizing and development of the Columbine Park project.
I'll still second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Barilla,
Yes.
trustee Harper,
Yes.
trustee Wiegert,
Yes.
trustee Bierma,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney,
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes.
Resolution 2022-11 passes unanimously.
Everybody show up. This was a little hook to get everyone in.
Thank you, everybody. Continue business for D, consideration to approve the DHM contract for the planning of the Kendall Mountain Recreation Area.
And DHM was the company that was awarded the bid for building of a comprehensive plan on how to best utilize our assets in Kendall Mountain Recreation Area. There are multiple community input meetings planned, as well as coordinating with our current master plan update. This contract solidifies our relationship with the final plan being completed no later than December 31st, 2022. This costs us $46,750 paid for by a grant from GOCO and the Department of Local Affairs with a $6,250 match from the town.
Any trustee discussion? It looks like we just lost Jess.
Want to see if he.
Can't quit yet.
He's like Columbine Park, I'm out.
Peace. Mic drop. Todd, you got any comments?
I would just say I had a great meeting with DHM to discuss the project with them after it was awarded. The contract is pretty standard. We enter into one with everybody that do a RFP with. They seem like they're going to be a wonderful partner, and they were very knowledgeable, and they seem more than willing to understand our community and really take the public comment and input to heart through this process. So I'm excited to have them on board, and don't think we could have a better partner to go through this process with.
Thank you.
And this, Gloria, just for clarification, this is pretty administrative because we already awarded
Yes.
the contract.
Yep.
So, or we awarded the,
We awarded the
RFS.
bid. This is just
So this is
confirming
just the
that this is
contract
the
itself.
contract that we would like to use.
sweet, okay. Would someone like to make a motion?
be happy to make a motion. Make a motion to approve entering a contract between Town of Silverton and DHM Design for the facilitation of a Kendall Mountain Recreation Area master planning process.
I'll second that.
Jim kind of beat you, but
We'll give it to Molly.
Trustee Barilla.
He still has 2 more years, whatever.
it's a good call.
And just back to you. So roll call, trustee Barilla,
Yes.
trustee Harper,
Yes.
trustee Uyghur,
Jess, this is a roll call for the approval of the DHM contract for the planning of the Kendall Mountain Recreation Area, which we noted was administrative since we already awarded the bid.
And yes.
trustee Bierma,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney,
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes.
Motion is passed unanimously.
Thank you. Continued business 4E, consideration to approve letters of support for Senate Bill S 3910, the EMS Staffing and Support Act.
And staff was directed at the last meeting to put this on the agenda for the trustees to support the EMS Staffing and Support Act.
The only word that was new to me, apologies. The August body,
Yeah, August. It's
August,
that's
official.
reverence and yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like a revered old.
nice.
Yes, I am.
I,
Oh, come
I
on.
support the letter.
is so. Did we need to make a motion on this? I mean, we directed you to write it, so make a motion to.
Yeah, just so that it's all official.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve a letter of support for Senate Bill S 3910, the EMS Staffing and Support Act.
Second.
I'll second that. Ooh, who's faster that time?
This one went to Jim. Roll call, please.
Trustee Barilla,
Yes.
trustee Harper. Yes. Trustee Uyghur,
Yes.
trustee Bierma,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney,
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, so the next item on our agenda is the outgoing trustee comments and presentations. And I'd just like to thank Molly and Jess for their guidance and support over the last 2 years on behalf of this iteration of the board. Having, tenured trustees we would not have gotten to where we got to without all of their context and guidance. So thank you very, very much for your contributions to the community and to this board. And the floor is now yours.
I'll start. I'm really sad that I am not there in person. And I extended all that to Gloria this morning. I want to make sure that all of the new incoming members of the board, as well as the existing, understand how important it is to take those retreats immediately when you guys first start. Go to CML and actually learn what it is to be in small government and how your decisions affect everyone. We didn't have that as the secondary board that I sat with because of COVID, and it really showed. You can see the difference now between what has occurred since we all had that retreat together in comparison to the way everything was. You guys were all put in a very unique situation as incoming board members because you did not have the privilege of classes through CML and having those actual retreats and learning from each other. I can't encourage you guys enough to all go to CML for this upcoming year. If you can swing it, every single one of you should do it. And I'm sure Jess will tell you the same thing. You learn that it's not about you. It'll never be about you or your personal agenda, nor any campaign promises that you may have made. It's about working collectively as a group for everyone, including the dissenting voices that you don't necessarily want to hear, that aren't your group of friends, but they all carry weight within our community. And I'd like to thank everybody. Previous administrators, we've gone through a lot. We hope we'll never have to do that again. I pray the cycle of attrition has been broken. It's great to have Matt and Melina and Nate and Gloria on board. Todd's been through quite a few. We appreciate all of the work that all of them do. Staff is your most important backbone. If you cannot support your staff, you're losing them. And we need to make sure that we always continue, even as citizens, to support the staff, because they're the boots on the ground that make everything happen. It's been a crazy 4 years for me. I will tell you this, be careful when you get older, you end up on high blood pressure medicine. That happened last summer. Just because there's a lot more added stress in your life. You need to make sure that you all try to stay sane when doing this, because there will things that will come up and you'll just go, oh my goodness, didn't we already address that before? But it just keeps happening. Deferred maintenance is one of them. So I really hope the new board coming on really addresses what needs to happen for the future with deferred maintenance with existing properties. I'm super excited about Columbine Park and Kendall moving in the right direction that the community is asking for. I appreciate all of your time, and I wish all of the new incoming trustees the best of luck.
Thank you, Molly. Jess, would you like to say anything?
Yeah. Most importantly, I'd really like to thank the citizens for voting me in and giving me the opportunity to represent your voices amongst the community. I'd like to hope that I, while not always agreeing with everybody, represented the majority well. And it's been a really incredible learning experience. I'd like to say it's been humbling to work with the staff that we have here. I feel like we got a lot of good coming to the community, and I just feel very lucky and very fortunate and extremely humbled to be to have served this position for 6 years and to have represented this community and the people amongst it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jess. Would you like to?
Sure. I do have, I want to thank you all for your service to the town, and we do have these plaques, and I don't know how to present them. There we are. So they will be at Town Hall for you to pick up, but Chris Higgins made these beautiful plaques for you all in recognition of your public service as a town trustee. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are very nice. It's been great serving with you, Jess.
It's been great serving with you, Molly, and to the rest of the board. Best of luck, and new trustees. Do everything you can to learn what you can, and good luck.
So now we officially adjourn the services of the outgoing trustees, and we will now invite Judge Edwards up to administer the oaths and appointments of the new trustees.
5-minute break?
And before that, we've been asked to take a quick 5-minute break. So we'll just take a break, stretch our legs, be right back in 5.
I got to put together their stuff real quick.
Okay, sure.
This is a lot more fun than.
And for everyone here, we do have coffee.
You're like, what Zoom?
Listen, stare at the camera.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we just need everybody. Is everyone muted now? Okay.
Before you even.
All right, so we are back after our 5 minute.
Jeff gets the Trooper Award for the evening.
Okay, ready?
Oh, that's awesome.
Smile like they mean it. Oh wait, Tyler blinked.
Oh, Sally's horse. Over there.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay, so public, we're back after our 5 minute break and Judge Edwards is now going to administer the swearing in and oath of office.
That's it. Judges do many things. A couple of them are part of the ones that bring more smiles. That would be weddings and swearing in. And it's my honor today to all of you. Congratulations and thanks for agreeing to serve. It's important part of our democracy. So I'm just going to ask you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Tyler George,
Do swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
do swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
and the laws of the State of Colorado,
and the laws of the State of Colorado,
San Juan County and the town of Silverton,
San Juan County and the town of Silverton,
and will faithfully perform the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter to the best of my ability.
and will faithfully perform the duties of the office of which I am about to enter to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Joe.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Let's go ahead and we'll
Thank you, sir.
sign it.
I was impressed, Jeff.
Get them back to you. Okay. That too. Congratulations, go forth and do good work.
Thank you.
I'm not touching.
Good job.
Good job. Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
All right. Well, welcome. That's exciting. So the very first item of business with this newly seated board is I'm going to pass it over to Matt to talk through a series of appointments that we'll need to make.
All right, first and foremost, the board tonight, before we adjourn, need to appoint a mayor pro tem. Typically, the mayor pro tem is chosen in the most recent election by the trustee who was elected by winning the most votes. However, since there was no election this time, it was canceled and the trustees were considered elected by default, basically. That leaves it to the board to have to appoint the mayor pro tem. Staff suggestion is to appoint the new mayor pro tem from one of the 3 newly elected or re-elected members of trustees to kind of keep with the spirit of, what was it, Silverton Municipal Code 2-2-30. So we're keeping one of the newer elected trustees as the mayor pro tem. However, that's not required. You can choose amongst yourselves whoever you want to be mayor pro tem, aside from Mayor Furman, because it'd be kind of redundant to have the mayor and mayor pro tem be the same person.
And the purpose of the mayor pro tem is to stand in for the mayor in the event the mayor is either conflicted out or unavailable for a meeting or other event that we're obligated to be a part of. There have been a handful of meetings where Sally has led the meeting in my absence. Any other obligations you've experienced?
Hardships?
All the power.
All the power.
No, if you, no.
That said, I was reading, I'm sorry,
Yeah, go.
we don't have to name a new mayor pro tem though. We could let Sally continue and then we don't have to change the name placard. Also, she's already done it, so it might have some, I don't know, continuity, consistency.
I would like to nominate Sally Barney to keep the
Oh.
post of Mayor Pro Tem. Can we do that?
You read long ordinances with a mask on.
Oh, you don't have to do that anymore. It's fine. That is perfectly viable with the way the language is. Since there was no election, you can appoint anybody. So you can reappoint Sally if you like.
Unless one of the newly elected trustees wants to make a case for.
I was gonna suggest Tyler since he's been here the longest, you know.
Yeah, if it had to be one of the three of us, I was gonna vote for Tyler. He's most experienced.
There's 2 votes. You get the most votes in the election, so.
I think Sally will do a great job. She's been doing a good job, and as long as I'm fine without it. And it sounds like you guys aren't too terribly attached to the idea, so I would definitely support Sally just continuing on.
Thanks, Tyler. This is a little awkward and embarrassing for me, but thank you. Jim, Tyler.
Go for it.
So I'll second Jim's.
So do we do a motion
You
for
will
each
need a motion.
appointments? So did you said it in the motion form? Yeah.
I believe I did.
And then you
I'll second, yeah.
Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Davis. Trustee Cranker.
Yes.
Trustee Harper. Yes. Trustee Bierman.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes, or
Mayor Furman.
I don't know.
Fine.
Yes. Yes.
You really want to hang on to that?
Mayor Pro Tem Barney remains Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Thank you for that fiscally responsible decision as well.
Yeah. Always looking out for the bottom line.
Yeah.
All right, and then next, we will be considering appointments of town administrator, municipal judge, municipal clerk, municipal attorney, and municipal engineer. As Matt, do you want to just say what's in the memo as well?
Yeah, so essentially, the board has the option to appoint any officers mentioned above. Historically, unless there's been reason to dismiss an officer for any reason, the board has usually just decided to reappoint the officers to their current positions.
You do have 30 days with state statute to make this decision. So if you wanted to review it and go through that 30 days, you can, or you can do it tonight with those appointments.
And one quick question, did the new trustees receive tonight's board packet and you've reviewed this portion of it? Okay. And my recommendation to the board is that we continue with these appointments, unless anyone on the current board has a reason to open up a discussion on any of the appointments. I think we should.
Yeah, let's carry on.
This staff is incredible. I think we should continue on.
If that is the desire of the board, in our packet on page 105 into 106, there's a series of motions for each of these appointments.
Mhm.
And I think we have to do each one separately.
We can't approve in total? That might be a question for Clayton.
Yeah, that would be a question for Clayton.
Mr. Clayton.
I guess you could read
We can get
because we have to reference all of the CRS sections.
Can you please restate the form of the question?
Are we able to package the motion for the reappointment of town administrator, municipal judge, municipal clerk, municipal attorney, and municipal engineer all into a single motion, or do we need to read each one as an independent motion?
Oh, no, I think you could do it as one motion as long as it was clear what you were doing, name and title.
Great, thank you.
Oh, because it's different.
So who'd like to read out of the packet?
I'll make a motion to appoint Anthony Edwards to the office of municipal judge in accordance with CRS 31-4-304 and Silverton Municipal Code, Chapter 2, Article 3, Sections 10 and 30. And a motion to appoint Gloria Koshberger to the office of town administrator in accordance with CRS 31-4-304, Silverton Municipal Code, Chapter 2, Article 3, Sections 10, 30, and 50. As well as a motion to appoint Matt Green to the office of town clerk treasurer in accordance with CRS 31-4-304 and Silverton Municipal Code, Chapter 2, Article 3, Sections 10, 30, and 60. As well as a motion to appoint Clayton Buchner to the office of town attorney in accordance with CRS 31-4-304, Silverton Municipal Code, Chapter 2, Article 3, Sections 10, 30, and 70. And finally, motion to appoint SGM Engineering as the municipal engineer for the town of Silverton in accordance with CRS 31-4-304 and SMC Chapter 2, Article 3, Sections 10 and 30.
I would like to
And
say,
before the second, I want to say something I should have probably led with, which is if there is a negative vote on any one person because you package the motion, even though you can package the motion together, you're going to have to turn down the whole motion. And so I don't want, if there's anybody who feels like they're pressured to vote on any one person that they wouldn't have otherwise voted on because they're packaged, you have to, deny the whole motion and then start over. And so insofar that this passes, altogether, that's fine. But it does kind of create a mess if you don't handle them individually. So we'll see what happens here, because if it's seconded and then voted on, but I don't want anybody to feel pressure, to have to vote everybody in if they have to, they want to get rid of somebody. So if somebody wants to fire me, now is definitely the time.
I, under no pressure, I would still like to second Tyler's motion.
I'll ask you later.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Cranker?
Yes.
Trustee Harper?
Yes.
Trustee Bierma?
Yeah.
Trustee George?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney?
Yes.
Mayor Furman?
Yes.
Motion to reappoint all the above mentioned officers passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony.
All right. The next item on our agenda is 6A, 3i, appointments of trustees to committees, boards, and commissions. And I would actually, I believe we have 30 days to do these appointments. And I would recommend to the board that we table this to the April 25th meeting and perhaps have a work session between now and then, or schedule a work session for the April 25th meeting to kind of talk through what all the different board commissions and committees do, and make sure that the incumbent trustees are all in the roles that they'd like to serve in, and that the new trustees feel good about whatever roles they would like to fill.
The only one I would like to mention is Finance Committee, because we did already discuss that, Tyler, and then also Tyler being the signer. Did we move forward on all that, or is that going?
Yes, Tyler is the signer already, and
I'd bequeath you. Sign is.
Note of order with that before you sign anything, Tyler, since those checks are dated for, I printed those out Friday. I don't know if you can sign those since those are dated for the time that's
Right back.
the signer.
I'll sign them, yep.
I will leave this for you.
Perfect. Just don't want to have to reprint 50 checks.
Yeah, no.
So if we wanted to do more than that, we can, or we can have a motion to table this to the April 25th meeting.
I support tabling to April 25th.
There is one thing I just wanted to mention, that there is a planning commission meeting happening next week that just served on beforehand. So if we wanted to do that at this time, or if we wanted to have a work session before that.
Right.
Also, we're either of the outgoing trustees on the Board of Adjustments, because we also have a Board of Adjustments.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
And somehow that this is a different topic a little bit, but I'm an alternate for that.
And I sit on that. sit on that
am
board. I was planning on going, but I didn't know if there was,
So yeah, at that meeting, it'll be Sally and Tyler.
Okay.
as long as we're covered.
So I think, do we want to temporarily appoint someone for the next planning commission meeting and then make the final decisions at the April 25th meeting so that we still have 2 representatives?
I like that idea.
When's the planning commission meeting?
Sorry?
When is the planning commission meeting?
Oh, the planning commission. I don't.
It is the 19th. It's a Tuesday.
19th, the same day as the Board of Adjustments?
Yeah, they're doing that right beforehand.
Oh, okay.
Who'd like to join Jim at that meeting?
Yeah, come on.
I mean, I'll be at the Board of Adjustments meeting, so I'm happy to go. That said, I don't want to move on to the planning commission full time if somebody else would like to sit on it. So if either of you.
Why don't you roll through since you have context, but we'll just temporarily appoint you for that meeting and then we'll reset everything on the 25th. Does that sound good for everybody?
Thank you.
Do we have any other committee meetings between now and the 25th that you're aware of?
We do have a finance meeting on next week on Monday.
So Tyler's just going to pick up all of the slack.
And he is already on the finance, gone with the Mayor Pro Tem.
And he read.
Served on the finance committee, so we are missing a spot on the finance committee as well.
Okay, what time? Yep, great.
So would someone like to make a motion to temporarily appoint Tyler to all of the committees and, no, I'm just kidding, to the finance and.
Oh, no,
commission.
I'm already on the finance. So
You're newly.
So I have to be.
To reappoint Tyler to the finance committee.
And the Board of Adjustments then as well.
And the Board of Adjustments, and to temporarily appoint him to the planning commission, as well as table the rest of the appointments to the 25th.
So moved.
Second.
Please, ready.
Trustee Davis.
I don't feel like I know all the parts of the issue and I'm uncomfortable voting.
Okay. Trustee Cranker.
Yes.
Trustee Harper.
Absolutely, yes.
Trustee Bierman.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes.
Motion passed with 6 yes and 1 abstain.
Great. The next item on our agenda is 6B, appointments of citizens to the library board.
The library board has 3 vacancies for citizens out of the 5 positions available, one of which will be filled by a trustee, and the other will be held by the only current member is Carrie Metzler. The 2 letters of interest in your packet are from Molly Barella as a citizen and Kim Medved. On page 135 of your packet, there is an agenda memo explaining these open positions and how to make the motion to appoint the citizens if that is the will of the trustees. Both positions are available, and we'll still be seeking 1 more letter of interest from a citizen at large. That's a call out for anyone who wants to serve on the library board.
I'll make a motion to appoint Molly Barella and Kim Medved to serve on the library board of directors.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis. Yes. Trustee Cranker.
Yes.
Trustee Harper.
Yes.
Trustee Bierman.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes.
Motion to approve Kim Medved for the library board approved unanimously.
Where'd our audience go? What's the deal?
Well, it's old news now. Yeah. And actually, I do want to pause just for a moment. I should have done this before the appointments, but welcome. Glad to have you here. And do you have any questions about the process from now until the end of the meeting that we can clarify so that you're not just fully thrown in the deep end?
And I would like to say that I did meet with each of them individually for a little prep session, so.
And I very much appreciate Gloria's onboarding document. So she's really trying to put forward some organizational structure, which we appreciate. We're not thrown into the deep end like many of you were. Tyler might want the onboarding document.
I think I got it.
You good?
Send it to me this time. Appreciate it.
Awesome. All right. In that case, we'll move on to staff reports.
All right. So I'm exploring opportunities right now to accommodate our growing staff and have a letter in the next county commissioners meeting on Wednesday for a request to utilize 2 offices at the Miners Hospital. So I wanted to let you guys know that. I've also allowed some staff to submit only 1 report a month with permission. So if you don't see a report this meeting, you'll see one next. And then I will be heading to Glenwood tomorrow for the Colorado City and County Management Association Conference, and we'll be there until Friday. Town Clerk Matt Green will be acting town administrator until I return. And then I can direct or answer any other questions you might have on staff reports.
All right. Thank you. Some big shoes to fill for the week.
I'm nervous.
All right. So then we will, I just noticed that we didn't have trustee reports in here. Does any trustee have a report for this evening?
I'll just say thanks for supporting the letter to the senators. That was Molly's idea at the last meeting, and I brought it up to bring to the town's attention, but that was a great idea, and I really appreciate everybody voting on it. And I hope to get the county to support it as well in Wednesday's meeting. So we'll see how that goes, but thanks. I think it might help a lot.
Nice.
I just wanted to say I'm looking forward to spending a lot of time with all you lovely people.
But not too much.
Well, we'll see. I hear it depends.
I have one short little thing that I wanted. It was in my notes from fall, actually, and then the snow covered everything up, but I wanted to just bring up the fact that the soccer goals are broken in the park. And just having that on the radar, hopefully we can either fix or get new ones eventually.
And the history on those soccer goals is that I think those particular goals, Todd actually can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the school, it's a partnership with the school. The school purchased the goals and the town provided the land, but there's no reason for the school to own the goals on town property. Something to consider.
Okay. Then we will move on to new business. 8A, consideration to approve unbudgeted expense of 80 barricades for special events and bump outs.
All right, so with summer coming, we're evaluating our capacity and infrastructure. We identified the need for more barricades, increase in events, and possibly the continue of our bump out program. With this discussion, I'm asking for staff direction to draft an ordinance at the pleasure of the board to continue bump out program to be presented at the next meeting, April 25th. Our town attorney believes this can still be an emergency ordinance if we wanted to get that out as soon as possible, or we can go through the process of publishing a draft in the newspaper on Thursday, do a reading of it on the next meeting with a final adoption date being May 14th. Todd Bove has prepared a memo on the need for barricades and is prepared to answer any questions related to this agenda item. So we can make this motion and then I would ask for staff direction.
The motion on the ordinance first you're wanting, or the motion on the barricade expense?
The barricade expense would be the topic first, and then staff direction on
the ordinance.
On the ordinance, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the additional expenditure of $10,480 on barricades.
I'll second.
Trustee Davis?
Sorry, does that include the last $60 fee? stamp feet.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna put silver, they're gonna literally stamp them, so they say.
It looks like it looks like the total is actually 10,540. Is that correct?
Yeah, it looks like it, the way it's written.
Okay,
Newbie, do we have to make a new?
Make a new motion, yes.
I'll make a new
And
motion.
before you do that, were there any other questions about the expenditure
Yes,
from anyone on the board
discuss.
before?
Is this, we did this last year, I know, or we at least had. Was this, I feel like this is the same quote. Todd?
This quote is a little different. The last round of barricades we purchased was a similar quantity. It was grant funded through the Revitalizing Main Streets grant program. The price per barricade has gone up about $30 per barricade.
Yeah, of course, along with everything, but excellent.
Jeff, do you want to make the motion? Page 146 at the bottom gives you the language and you can just amend the math to the 540.
146, motion to approve the additional expenditure of $10,560 on barricades.
Second. Trustee Davis,
Yes.
trustee Cranker,
Yes.
trustee Harper,
Yes.
trustee Bierman,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes.
Chairman.
Yes.
Motion to approve the unbudgeted expense for 80 barricades passed unanimously with roll call vote.
Thank you. And then is there any objection to giving staff direction to work on the ordinance relating to bump outs? And is there any specific direction on modifications to the prior ordinance that we would want to give in the direction this evening?
I mean, have you gotten feedback from people about, or any business owners about changing the current ordinance?
No, the two proposed changes that I would bring to you all would be that if they were to put up their barricades prior to, say, the Iron Horse, and we are in the month of May doing street maintenance such as washing the streets and repainting, we would ask that the business owners remove those barricades, be responsible for removing those barricades. During those times, we would give them 24 hours notice. And then put in some kind of stipulation where if they didn't remove those barricades, because we've had problems in the past.
Sure.
Have business owners indicated that they want the bump outs back?
We've had two business owners approach us thus far and asking if we could get it in like by the first train, basically.
And yeah, I've had a few approach me as well.
Same.
Okay.
Do we want to even distribute them before the street washing and the painting, the striping?
Well, and so that's the tricky part. So if we did that, and then we'd have to put in these stipulations, but at the same time, we recognize the need for more capacity, more seating during our lunch hours, and that provides that capacity. So it's kind of it's more management on our end, but if we can provide that capacity, we're okay with that.
Great.
Todd, did you have a comment?
I feel that Gloria adequately fielded the question. I was just gonna, there are some logistical things that we need to work through. Gloria touched on most of them, but I think the goal here is to get the businesses open and accommodated as early as possible, as opposed to defer it closer to Memorial Day, which is what that date would be for us to kind of complete our transition from winter to summer. So we're happy as staff to do the additional legwork of kind of distributing barricades and maybe leaning on the business owners or assisting the business owners in their removal. And we're going to try and get a really set schedule as far as when this program starts, what those dates might be. Because I do believe it's in the community's best interest to make those minor accommodations to get this program started earlier as opposed to later.
Okay.
I agree. Hey, Todd, where will the additional barricades be stored? It's a lot of barricades.
Yeah, we think we have plenty of room behind the Quonset, and building up this stockpile, we think is only going to be beneficial in the long run.
Totally agree.
And, assuming the discussion leans towards approving the bump outs, if we weren't doing the bump out program, we would have enough barricades to accommodate events. It's really the crux of it really is trying to do both of those things at once.
Thank you.
If that helps with your consideration.
So if a business puts out barricades early and then they have to move them for like the Iron Horse, they're responsible for putting them like inside their or somewhere on their property during the Iron Horse when we have like a bunch of people in town. And do we have somewhere, do we have town property somewhere that, maybe they have to do the labor, but they don't have to like bring them inside their restaurant?
And I guess I misunderstand because they'll be allowed out during the Iron Horse, but I thought it was around that time of cleaning, or are we not going to have them out during the race?
Todd, do you want to take that one?
Sure. If I remember correctly, we have not had them, and we've cleared them for the Iron Horse race, much like we do with the planter boxes. They really like to have that whole lane clear for safety purposes. And I think as we get into drafting things and kind of set the parameters, we're going to make every accommodation we can to aid each business in putting them out and removing them, certainly putting them out the first time. We're kind of asking for business owners' help. If, John cites the fire department's going to be doing street cleaning on, I believe, the 20th of May. So that would be one example of when we would need them cleared. I think it's just going to remain critical that we're communicating with the business owners, giving them ample notice. And like I said, we're happy to accommodate kind of that shuffle we're going to need to do. And we'll do whatever makes logical sense as we go to write the ordinance here or the resolution.
So it sounds like the board supports giving the direction to work on the ordinance. And it also sounds like it might be a good idea to like reach out to at least the businesses that expressed interest to figure out how to facilitate those things so that we can talk about it and let the public know when it's time to consider adoption of the ordinance. Does that sound good to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Todd?
Yeah, I would just add, I didn't really touch on it earlier. I think our preference would be any support we can get from the business owners to aid us in kind of the barricade shuffle would be greatly appreciated. But like I said, we'll do whatever it takes. I would also say there's a couple of unique situations, particularly on Blair Street, that we may want to write into the ordinance. The barricades have not been standardized in the past. We've done it based off of frontage of buildings. And we did hear some concerns last year that some people had larger bump outs than others. So we're gonna do our best to address those things as we kind of move through this also. And a great example of that would be the Eureka Station. In the past, we've granted them permission to operate in Columbine Park outside of event times, mainly due to the drainage and some issues with mud and drainage, and it really just not being a great place to put one. So I would like to see some language reflected in there that gives staff the ability to work with individual business owners to do what makes practical sense and benefit each business, even if that looks a little different on a case-by-case basis.
Yes.
It's like gonna crash into Jim. Thanks, Todd.
At least it already broke. It's not going to break again.
Maybe like take plastic over
We
there
got a little blustery in here, Todd. Sorry.
before the storm takes off.
I just like to add that I do have the concern that Shane just brought up, where the idea that a business owner would have to manage their barricades without the appropriate space to do so, and the idea that we would expect them to bring them into their shop or into their space is just kind of a setting up for failure, and we really need to be conscious of that before putting it all on the owners themselves.
Sure, and we can accommodate the space for the actual storage of the barricades. It's more as we start getting into the spring season here. Parks and Rec in particular has a pretty small staff. It's myself and two others. And when we're trying to get Molas Lake open and the parks open and de-winterize the sprinklers, all that kind of stuff, certainly helping the businesses is one of our top priorities. But we may just ask them, if they can lend a hand or as they're available, if they have the physical capacity to do that, we would love that help. If they don't, all they need to do is call us and we'll find the time to support each business, particularly if they're physically unable, et cetera.
Todd, it sounds like for the Iron Horse, they need to be off the street altogether, but do you think for street cleaning or something like that, it could be sort of like parking, put them on the odd side for the evening, do one side, vice versa, or does that make it more complicated?
The fire department really likes to start with a clean slate and just try and move down the street and be as efficient as they can. So we'd like to do whatever we can to support the fire department to make it as easy as possible on them. Typically alternating like that, putting them on the sidewalk is not really a great solution. But this isn't a major problem. If we stay on top of it and communicate, like I said, we'd be happy to throw the trailer on and just go help out and make it happen. It's really critical to support the businesses. And that's what this all is really born from, was the economic impact of COVID. And I think everyone's really pleased with the results. So we're going to keep on doing it, it sounds like. So, we'll just do what we got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Todd or Gloria, would you like any further direction or clarification from the board?
We would, if you'd support the additional barricades, we would still need a motion for that. And then I think we have our direction as far as how to move forward on drafting the ordinance.
I think we did
the
the
barricades.
motion.
Oh, you did? Okay, sorry.
Okay. Okay,
And that is sufficient.
cool. In which case we can move on to new business item 8B, consideration to approve special event application for the Avalanche of Arts Festival, June 17th to 19th, 2022.
So Carol Wilkins is with us tonight. Matt, if you'd like to promote her to panelist, if anyone has any questions. So a proposed public right-of-way closure has been requested between 11th and 12th Street on Blair with the use of town barricades to ensure safety of its participants. And the event is expected to draw about 1,500 attendees. And if you have any other questions, Carol is here.
Welcome, Carol.
Hi there. Thank you.
This is awesome.
We're very excited about it. Did you have any questions for me?
Board. For the benefit of the public that may not have read the packet as thoroughly as everybody in this room, do you want to do a quick overview of what the event entails?
Sure. So the event will start on Friday, June 17th at 11:30 and will go till 5 o'clock. Saturday, the show hours will be 10 to 5. Sunday will be 10 to 4. We're also doing this in conjunction with Summer Sounds on Friday night. We'll have an awards ceremony at some point in the beginning of the Summer Sounds program to hand out ribbons for Best Booth, People's Choice Awards, second and third place. We would like a right-of-way, public right-of-way closure for the 11th block of Blair Street. Because we'll have tents set up all weekend, and that will actually start on Thursday evening around 5. We'd like, because then that gives artists a chance to come in and do a little setup prior to the arts festival, and we'll be on site that evening, and then also starting on Friday morning, probably about 6:30 or so for more artist setup. They will have a detour signs on both sides of the block, and we will avoid sending people down the train tracks. So it'll be kind of more of an L-shaped there on Blair Street going up to Green Street. And the other end of Blair Street will be both ways. Our banner is, we are in the process of designing our banner right now, and the size on it will be 4 foot by 18 feet. And we'll have that to hang at the front end of town, at the entrance. No alcohol will be served. Yeah, we're just really excited about, bringing the Arts Festival back. We've got artists from all over the Southwest and a couple from the Midwest who have applied. So I think it's going to be, really fun. And did I miss anything?
I think it sounds awesome.
Yeah, and it sounds,
think so.
it also, it looks like what you've done is coordinate with with EMS and other entities in the community, just to acknowledge that you've done in the
I did.
community. Yeah, that you got input from the neighbors and a lot of support there.
There were a few people who responded back, and I included that in the packet, and it's all really positive responses for it. And I talked to Tyler regarding the EMS services, and that is not a problem. I've talked to Bruce, Sheriff Conrad, regarding street closures and what we needed to do for just to have the event there, to make sure we have enough safety for our vendors and for the public who will be attending. And I also have talked to Todd and briefly with John Seitz regarding the banner and barricades. And so that is still all in process. So it's coming along really well. It's a lot of hard work on our whole group that are putting this together. So I'm very appreciative of all of their help and everybody's support. Everyone has been really excited about this. So yeah, and there was one other thing I wanted to mention. It's gone, but anyways, we're really excited.
So would someone like to make a motion to approve this special event application?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to approve the special event application with incorporated town limits for the Silverton Creative District's Art Festival.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Kraniger.
Yes.
Trustee Harper.
Yes.
Trustee Bierma.
Yeah.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
We're
much.
very excited.
All right, the next item on our agenda is 8C, new business, consideration of resolution 2022-12, resolution to adopt a tap fee cost overrun policy.
And so with the increase in building and demand on our Public Works Department, John and Clayton have drafted this policy to outline, it's outlined in your package on page 174, which details the requirements of developers to pay for any equipment or method necessary to install taps and service lines when costs are incurred above and beyond the standard tap fee. And John is here to answer any questions.
I had a question. Oh, go ahead, Dana.
Oh, sorry. My question I think this makes a lot of sense to not have the town really dealing with the overruns. But I did have a question on just future iterations of the policy, what it looks like of how we inform developers or property owners. Because I think a concern I thought of was if someone pays their tap fee and then moves forward with a project and then finds out that the land that they're using is really expensive and there's going to be, significant overruns. I just think how we go forward in the process of informing people will be important. So I'm not sure how that's going to work because they pay up front for the tap fees and then they could find out later on. But I think that's what I would look for in the policy is ways to help developers and property owners know some of those costs up front or have an upper bound of what those costs might be or kind of how that wording might go.
Well, part of the problem is you won't really know until you put a shovel in the ground.
Yep.
A lot of these sites and the last few years, we've had some sites down around the Anvil development area. And you may have one house that doesn't have any problems hitting solid rock. And then 100 feet away, you have a house that the entire foundation and the entire trench out to the main needs to be hammered or blasted. So we don't know. They might not know unless they do pay an excavator to do some potholing. If you have an excavator, put a bucket in the ground and pay them to dig, you may only have hard rock on a section of the property. So I think that's a great question, but I'm not really sure how you answer it.
Yeah, agreed. We learned in our house when it was blasted in 1965, it started breaking the windows in the school. So they were told to stop. So we still have part of the mountain in our foundation.
Oh. I had a question along those lines. And since I've heard of this happening down in Anvil, and since that's an area that we're trying to build affordably, I wonder, and it could happen anywhere in town. I think, there lots of sites are susceptible to this, but some it's more consequential for the owners of the property than it is for other owners of their property. So I don't know. I overall support the idea of the town not incurring surprise costs of putting in taps. My question is just how to prevent that from affecting affordable housing builds. Or if there's I don't know what that structure could look like. A waiving of it, or we can always potentially put it in place and waive the fee. Is that possible?
That's what I was thinking. And Gloria and I had actually discussed that briefly, that we did not want this to affect the board's ability to waive for an affordable situation. So that's a great point. I think that this could be your go-to, just so that people aren't surprised if they're building a house down there and it's not affordable. Our current tap fees could be tripled or quadrupled if the town had to hammer the rock just to put water and sewer taps in. Anyone building there in a market rate scenario would have to deal with solid rock, just like you would anywhere if you're going to build a house on solid rock. But in an affordable situation, the town could choose to absorb those costs. They could be quite significant. However, we have absorbed tap fee costs in affordable situations in the past.
I was just going to comment on the waiving of the fee. I feel like if it's a town project, obviously, then we take it on, but I feel like waiving the fee for one person and then not for another person, we're going to get into some treacherous ground. I mean, unless there's a policy that says this is the number or this is the affordable, I don't know how we do that without.
I was thinking if there's like a definition of what, like, is it deed restricted or section 8? Is it actually really affordable housing? Not it's intended to be on the affordable side of housing, because I think it's different. And I also think we should think about how significant this scope potentially is. It's not just the Faircrete around Anvil. It's also anything that has an 8% grade or greater, which, as we look at seeing people potentially develop Shrine Hill or the stuff over by the water tank, we might see more of that. And also any below water, where, where the,
like a wetter.
And so as we see the fringes of town get developed, I think we're going to see a lot more of this stuff. I have two questions for John. One is, can we include, or is it already, and I just missed it, that these costs would be added to the developer bond amount in places where developers are, building out infrastructure for more properties than just theirs? So that, does that all need to be stated, or is it just?
This is just for tap fees. So if a developer is extending water and sewer mains and streets, that is exclusively their cost. The town is not involved with that. They pay for that, and they're bonded to do that. They bond with the town to ensure the quality of the work, that we're not going to have problems with their work. So this is exclusively deals with taps, and that's work that the town does.
So I think maybe I asked the question wrong. So you know how there's the bond, so if someone develops a house on Shrine Hill and builds all the infrastructure up to their house to Shrine Hill, and then someone builds between their house and an existing property and jumps onto their infrastructure. I think the town has a system in place where that first house builder gets a bond and gets reimbursed from future people that tap into their infrastructure. Can these additional costs be included in that bond program?
But
They are.
But the
They
town
would,
only runs from the main to that person's house. So I guess.
Presumably, but if you're blasting through a bunch of stuff to get there, like the town charges.
Oh, could you?
A foot for water lines.
On like putting.
Yeah, like the reimbursement schedule
Well,
for the,
no, I understand. I get that, like
Yeah.
later down the road, we increased it from 10 years to
yeah.
25 years, but this is per building. This isn't for entire city block.
Okay, I understand. Never mind. So my question just didn't make sense.
but to answer your question, if a developer installs expensive infrastructure, if they have to blast through 300 feet of rock down to depth, whatever the cost is, they will be reimbursed by people that tie into what they've extended, regardless of what the cost is. So to answer your question, the developer will get reimbursed by subsequent development that comes in on their infrastructure. But this is just acknowledges taps, which the town is involved with the construction directly.
And John,
sorry to follow up.
Go ahead.
And then I'm done, I promise. The other question was, it looked like the way that this read to me is that all costs above and beyond standard tap installation are the sole responsibility of the applicant paying a third-party service to do the work, or is it still paying Public Works to do the work? Like if you're bringing in someone to do blasting, is that a third party that the person building the house is responsible for hiring, or is that something Public Works is doing for additional costs?
Well, it could be us, or it could be a third party. Clayton, do you have a comment about that? Or do you have an opinion on how that would, you intended that to read?
Yeah, I think, once you get to a certain point, if you're gonna, well, I think, first of all, it's industry standard that the applicant or the builder bears the cost of certain things. I mean, our fee is meant to reimburse us for what we do. And so we're just trying to take into account those circumstances that are above and beyond what we're, what the average tap fee is. So I think that addresses one of the trustees' questions. As far as if they want to get a third party, I don't think we would stop them. But of course that it would have to meet our town engineered specs for, service lines. And then we would have to obviously have somebody there when they're tying into a main line. But that would all be included. We would do what we could for them that was in our normal tap fee. And of course we'd work with a person who wanted to go through a third party. It's something you could certainly talk about and restrict if you wanted to. Right now, the language in our code does not address that. And so because there's no exclusion, I would say that it would be allowed per the decision of the applicant.
Right. And so the ultimate question I have is, if the town's doing it based on time and materials basis, do we have a fee schedule for what the town charges for the additional time? Or is that something we should be developing in concert with this?
We do have that in our fee schedule. Labor, equipment is all in our current fee schedule and past fee schedules.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm all done.
So John, maybe you could clarify me too, how the process would work. So would someone pay their standard tap fees up front to kind of get their place in line as we're starting to limit tap fees? And then depending on the cost of the project, and if there are cost overruns because of the complexity of the site, then they would be charged upon completion of that work? Or do they have to pay up front an estimate of what we think it would be based on the lot?
No, I would prefer to bill the customer after the work is completed. So that, because we may not know how long we would need to rent a hammer, or, I mean, in most cases, we're not going to be blasting. In most cases, we're going to be renting a piece of equipment that has a large jackhammer on it. That's how we've done it down there in the past. If we only need it for one day, then that's great. Sometimes the contractor will have one on site, as we've had before, because they had to do the foundation that way. And we just piggybacked on that. And they went ahead and used that same piece of equipment. So I think it would be more or less a cost after the fact of after the construction was completed. We can say, look, here's what we did. Here was the bill. We're passing it on to you now. Or essentially the town may be paying the bill in that case. And I would just prefer to do it in a way that makes the most sense for both the town and the customer.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. And then my next question was, do you feel like with the increasing complexity of some of these lots that our current standard tap fees are sufficient?
They are sufficient for flat ground in the middle of town work, yes. And most of the taps that have been done historically and most of the ones that I have done were very predictable or fairly predictable. So I felt good about that. But since we've had more going up down in the Anvil area where we're hitting bedrock, it's a totally different animal. And we needed some wording behind a policy essentially, so that people don't expect that a standard tap fee is going to cut it, because that will severely shortchange the town if we charge them the same amount as we do somebody that, you know, we can get a tap done in a half a day or a day. Down there, it may take a week, plus we have to rent heavy equipment, two different animals.
Yeah, thank you.
I had one more question. In the list of things that are excluded from standard tap installations, it says on private property. What's an example of that?
Well, typically, we do not do excavation on private property. That's the responsibility of the developer. We take the tap from the main, water or sewer, to private property. And then the developer or private property owner will hire an excavator or excavate it themselves beyond that point.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, I think so long as, you know, there's reference to this document when they're getting their original, paying their initial tap fee, and just say, hey, this you need to be aware of this as well, you know. Just so it's not after the fact when these guys start doing it and run into it.
Yeah, not letting people be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna jump in here. I think, well, you know, one thing that John, I think he touched on when he started, but that is, we did definitely discuss having a completely changing the ordinance and or adding language to the tap fee area in the code. But due to timing and everything else, we just felt it was really important to get a policy in place so that it wasn't, you know, our public works director out there potentially arguing with the developer over what the industry standard was. And so we wanted to address this. I think our intention at least is for the policy obviously to be in place, but then for us to draw attention to that during the application by, you know, putting an asterisk by the tap fee and having some language in that actual application, and or actually going into the code itself and making some references to it. Although I do think the prior is a much better idea. I mean, I don't know how many of you find themselves, you know, burying your nose in the actual municipal code when you need an answer to a question. It's usually, you know, ask Gloria or Matt, which is a good way to do it because they're well versed with it. There are nuances, but, you know, I don't think a normal person is just going to bury themselves in the code to find the answer. So I do think it's a great idea to maybe put them on notice somehow during the application process, or when they actually look at that checkbox to pay that fee, having some sort of notice there. But we definitely discussed that. Yeah, it's just that this policy, I think, is just important to give our, you know, the public works director a something to fall back on, so he's not out there on his own trying to explain this to a developer.
Yeah.
Thank you for helping us understand all of this. Any other questions, or would someone like to make a motion?
I can make a motion to adopt resolution 2022-12 to adopt a tap fee cost overrun policy.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Kränker.
Yes.
Trustee Harper.
Yes.
Trustee Birma.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yep.
Resolution 2022-12 passes unanimously.
Thank you, John.
It's like an hour.
Just checking.
We're almost at public comment.
Okay.
All right, so the next item on our agenda is 8D, request to schedule a board retreat and standing work sessions.
So I would like to get you guys on board with the board retreat as soon as we can. And I proposed a couple dates in there. Those dates are the dates that Clayton is available. So this is on page 177 of your packet. And but then I did realize that we do have a couple members who won't be here on some of those dates. So kind of wanted to discuss that and maybe come up with a good date for our retreat. And if it doesn't fall on the dates that Clayton's available, we could do that separately, the ethics training separately, but would like to get a retreat date. And then the second portion of this is a work session. I'm always looking at how we can improve our agendas. And one thing I found from neighboring communities is they have standing work sessions where staff is able to put items on there as we discuss. And we always have kind of that date available every month.
To use or not.
To use or not, yep. But as long as it's scheduled out, it wouldn't be a hassle to come up with a date every time. And perhaps we could implement that with our work session for the boards and committees. If we wanted to do something like on an off Monday, maybe we want to do one next Monday, or if we wanted to do one prior to a meeting.
Let's start with the retreat dates.
Okay.
Whose schedule's the worst during the proposed dates?
I work every Wednesday and Thursday.
I'm in Ohio taking care of my brother for most of May. May 11th I could make, but that would it'd be like to be pushing my date back a little bit, but could happen. Besides that, I won't be back until early June.
What about
On all of June.
oh, I guess those are just Clayton's dates.
Yeah, and I can do sooner. I can pull it together sooner if we need. Those were just Clayton's dates.
At the last retreat we did, I feel like that was a pretty long day already. Should we just break up the ethics training in that retreat anyway? Or I feel like that.
Yeah, we could do that.
I feel like that was already a long day, and trying to pack in an ethics workshop might be.
How much time, Clayton, would you like to set aside for the ethics workshop?
Well, that's up to you. It's really a best practices and ethics type training, and kind of gives the board some infrastructure as to why we do things and why it gives certain advice, and so that that I'm not just making it up, and that there's the statutes and rules out there, and kind of it's a really good it's a very good brief that I put together it's geared towards new trustees, but also that has some challenging material in it that savvy trustees might be able to think a little deeper on as well. And so I like to say like an hour, but if you add questions and good conversation, it tends to go a little past that. That said, I think if we started on a meeting night at say like 5:30 or 6, it would force us to be done at 7. And I think we could still get through most of the substance of the brief. And I'm happy to forward my PowerPoint slides to the board as well as a read through. So it's not a case of first impression during that ethics training. But I really do think it's important. I've gotten great feedback on it, and I've been tweaking it for years. And so, I do get that you probably don't want to put it with a work session because that's brutal. But, you know, if we had a light agenda and we wanted to add like an hour and a half at the beginning of a meeting, I think that'd more than suffice.
We do that on the 9th at 5, May 9th, before you're gone. That's a meeting night. The day after Mother's Day.
And also just hearing that description, I mean, I think I can make any of these virtually anytime. And that to me seems like something that would.
Well, I think the board retreat should all be in person.
Totally. That's what, yeah.
Yeah. May 9th is great.
May 9th would be, I would have to give it virtually, however.
Yes.
But I have, you know, yeah, I would have to give it virtually on May 9th. I apologize. Look at that. You know, it's if May 9th works for everybody, I will make some sacrifices. How's that?
Well, not necessarily.
I'll do my best to be there in person.
The ethics one, I don't know that we all need to be in person. So if like that's during Jeff's travels and everybody else is available, then we could do it on one of the dates that was already proposed. But you said you were Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, or Wednesday, Thursday. And as I've said before, I can usually come in. I just, you know, I will have to leave if something comes up. So.
The Wednesday and Thursday, May 18th, 19th is getting into the end of school, which is a little nuts to try and leave that week. I don't know how you feel about that.
No, my schedule gets crazier as May goes along.
Yeah.
Like I would rather do the first week of May than the last weeks of May.
Same, but for sure.
What about that first date Clayton had available on the 11th?
Yeah, the first week in May, even though there's no meetings, I don't have court. And so that could work for me too. Let me look at
Oh, wait, no, the first week of May is fully out for me. I'm gone with students in Denver, but May 11th is good.
Can we do May 11th for the ethics, and Jeff will just participate virtually and Tyler will leave if he has to? Is there a particular time, Clayton, that you want to do on the 11th? I mean, evenings I think are better for most of the group, like 6 o'clock. Everybody do 6 o'clock on May 11th.
Yeesh.
Okay, let's do ethics then.
Okay. One down.
And board retreat. Let's see. So you're going the first week of May.
I could do the 6th of May.
Who wants to come in hungover after Cinco de Mayo and do a full day?
Wow, the life of a second and third grade teacher is so different.
Oh, good for you. Do you want to think about other dates to send out by email, since you were first thinking about these dates based on Clayton's schedule? And if we separate the two, then we're not limited by Clayton's schedule.
Yeah, and you're not limited. Yeah, we can do different dates. I mean, ideally, I'd like to kind of solidify it tonight if we could. Getting that participation with everyone is a little challenging sometimes.
Jeff, when do you get back?
CBD. Yeah.
And when do you leave?
That's kind of the same.
When are you aiming to leave?
I'm aiming to leave like after our meeting, the first meeting in May. So what,
the 9th?
So the 10th. But I can have to be there by the 15th.
In May, the first week in May? Are there any dates then?
Sally's gone, but
Sally's
do the
gone.
6th, but you shook your head, Jim.
Huh?
He's cold.
Freezing.
Can we do the day of the 6th all day?
That's all day after Cinco de Mayo? I'm thinking about everybody else.
Sure.
Do the week of the 25th?
That's a day party, not a night party. You should be fine by the next day, right?
Is it
Or the 7th?
do the week of April 25th?
Well, it's just Jeff will be likely gone.
Oh, I'll be here at the end of April.
In April?
Oh, you'll be back at the end of April.
No, that's April is
April. Oh, I'm gone.
I'll be gone too.
Do May 6th, that's fine.
May 6th or 7th. I'm gone for the rest of the month at the end of this week.
If you'd like, we could do it a later start.
I'm actually here just for the meeting on the 25th and then I'm gone again.
May 6th or 7th is fine.
Okay.
And if it's
Six.
not like the 8 hour
better.
day,
I'd rather do 6th and 7th.
me too.
Great. Let's see if whatever you'd like to put together can be put together on the 6th, because this is still just tentative, because if what Gloria wants to plan isn't feasible that date, then we won't be able to do it. But let's block the day of May 6th for everybody.
Let's block like a light day.
Yes.
Like a not 8 to 4 type of day.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one.
And trustee retreat should be all day. It shouldn't be like a 3-hour meeting.
Well, I'm not saying 3 hour, I'm saying like 6 instead of 8.
Yeah. I would go with the
agree with
6
that.
instead of 8.
I mean, I will have spent 2
Like a 10 to
nights
6?
with second and third graders leading up to this and not seen my husband for about 6 weeks, and that'll be my first day coming home.
Do you want to do the 7th?
No.
Yeah, we should move.
No,
Just for that reason.
because
we
then
should
it'll
move
be
to
a
the
good
7th.
weekend.
No. What?
I don't want to do the weekend.
Okay, we're holding the 6th. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. And is there one day a month that we could meet for a work session and plan on that being either an hour and a half or 2 hours? We won't always have to use it, but I would like it available if possible.
And how long are you picturing for a work session? Is this like an hour, 2 hour? Like, what is that?
It could be an hour and a half or 2 hours.
Okay, so it's pretty significant. So like not something we totally want to tack on
Right,
to another meeting.
right.
And this can be a virtual deal.
It can totally be a virtual.
We're going into the summertime, it just makes it more.
Oh, yeah, it could be a virtual.
Right, good point.
So these meetings are on the 2nd and 4th Mondays,
Yes,
right? So we want to do the 3rd Mondays?
That's our finance committee.
but we would meet in the
Okay.
morning.
Mm, It still just makes the day a little more.
Yeah.
It's a tough Monday.
That's Monday.
It's a manic Monday.
Second, do you want to do the first Monday of every month? Cool.
What are you doing?
Does that work for everyone? And is there a time that you'd prefer? Like, do we want to meet before 7?
I think I don't really have any.
Can anyone do like 5 or 6?
AM?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, no, not like our finance.
oh, thank
Jordan is up for it, though. We know that.
Yeah, we can go early. Let me know.
God.
I just meant earlier in the day, like 5 or 6.
I'm good with 5 o'clock.
So we're still in the PM.
Yes, still in the PM.
All right.
We said first Mondays or third Mondays?
First. My toes are cold.
I'm sorry, you guys.
That's what gets us out of here. First Monday work session, standing.
I think we just need to.
Starting
all the way.
5 p.m.
May. Yeah, I won't be here for the first one.
That's okay.
May 2nd, 4 hours.
And virtually, right?
I won't either.
I might be able
Just
to
gonna say, I'm like, wait, this is.
I was
4
missold.
hour work session, repeat
Just for
monthly.
the first one.
Yeah.
On the first Monday at 5 PM, we said? Cool.
Where's the hold on? Oh, yeah, there's public comment.
And would it be beneficial if I were to send out meeting invites for these to you
Yes.
all? Okay, that was what I wanted to see.
Mhm.
All right.
I stack a lot of travel plans for the shoulder season. All right, anything else on these related items?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Question, can we look into the CML stuff?
Yes.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Really
there's-
like to look.
There's a CML conference in Breckenridge, June 21st to 24th, and it costs $300 to attend the basic. At the basic level.
Cool.
Did anyone apply for the scholarships?
And I tried to apply for the scholarship and I just did not pull it off.
What were the dates?
And we do have a budget for you all to attend.
Oh, so I wouldn't have to pay my
There should be
only
a training
hang up in
budget
signing.
somewhere.
Yeah, there's,
Yeah, we have it.
I think we approved $1,000 in the training.
Like, I'm not gonna spend $300 and I'm not gonna use my time to fill out a scholarship. So I've just been delaying.
What was the date, Sally?
It's June 21st to 24th. And that's my kid's birthday week as well, but you know.
Kate and Betsy didn't want to go?
You guys have got a great idea.
Oh.
So let me know who would like to attend and I can sign you all up using our funds that we have allocated for your training.
Cool. You're out of town.
Okay.
Did we get an expense card and a company car also?
Can you drive?
It's a Suburban.
So you have the company car.
Take it tomorrow.
Okay,
Plus walkable town.
so let's, do we have someone who's like the CML person to update us on happenings, or we just all get the emails?
You get those emails.
Should get the emails.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right. Next item on our agenda is 8E, the OHV letter to county.
Why?
Okay, well, I think this can be quick. I wanted to add this because the county is meeting this coming week and it's actually just been on tap for me. Like, this season is coming and it's April and I'm not sensing that we're making a lot of progress towards OHV management decisions. And as far as the town board goes, there isn't a lot that we can really do because a lot of the management, I think, happens in the county. But I want to present public support for whatever the county can make happen as quickly as they can make it happen. So I was wanting us to just discuss the possibility, and I don't know if the letter is the right mechanism, but I want us to potentially direct staff to help us draft a letter of support to the county for a staging area that can be finished this summer.
Isn't that meeting tomorrow?
Wednesday,
No, it's Wednesday.
but yeah, it's
soon.
Right. And then in the last county meeting, didn't they talk about county roads
That
being
is,
limited?
that will be proposed in this next one. Their last one was canceled.
Okay.
So this next meeting, it's on the agenda as a resolution and I want to make sure I'm speaking correctly. Hold on. The resolution is resolution allowing the use of off-highway vehicles on certain roads within the boundaries of San Juan County. And so they were looking at stopping the OHV traffic quite a ways back from the actual bypass road so that people would have adequate parking and turnaround space. And so they would actually restrict access more than we have with using that bypass road.
The idea is for the stop point to be close to a larger turnaround or pull off so that it's not just arbitrarily at the town county border where there isn't necessarily somewhere to turn around and park and things like that. I think I like the idea of expressing support for what the county is doing. I don't want to direct the county to like set up a staging or like a specific thing that isn't necessarily within the scope of what they're already doing. I think maybe we can express support for the ordinance proposed or the other initiatives they're already taking on. But I don't know that it would be productive for us to push them to do more than what's already on their agenda for a meeting in 2 days.
Agreed.
If this board is in support of the proposed ordinance, but I'm not sure that we've all read it and know what we're talking about.
I haven't read it. I'm not familiar with it.
Well, we can table it. I don't think it's worth rushing
Can we?
to be ready for this week, but it's something that
Well, it kind of is, it is, right?
well, that, as a collective, as a town board, there's pressure on this particular meeting if we wanted to show support for what they're working on. But I think there will be opportunities in future meetings if we wanted to take more time to discuss more specifically what we support or
Well, what's a way to quickly get us up to speed so that we could give direction to staff to speak in support of what the county's doing? Because I do think the town expressing support for what's proposed at this meeting would be helpful in making sure that the county knows that the town is supportive of that. What do you think, Gloria?
I am looking through the board packet to make sure that it's in here. I could send you all, do you all receive the board packets from the county?
Or I do. I don't know.
I do not, Gloria.
I don't. And I've been trying to figure out how to do it, but I don't yet.
And I can send this board packet out to you all. I was looking for the resolution in here, but it's so big that there's several different
Oh, wait.
things to open here.
I know my computer really rebels again.
So I'll definitely send this to you all. Whether it is actually in here or not, I'll have to double check.
Do we have a quorum that feels sufficiently informed to support the town providing a letter or a statement at the meeting to support their OHV initiatives?
Can you read the resolution one more time?
Yeah, I'm looking for it right now. I saw it on the agenda, but I haven't seen it
in the packet.
Sorry.
I have it too.
Take a minute here.
Let's do jumping jacks real quick, Jorma.
Found it yet?
It's just my computer is so slow with this.
Resolution 2022-02 at 11:45. After the Tyler George Ambulance Association license renewal.
That's going to be an exciting one.
I'm so invested. I'm close to finding it. I think it's in the second half of the packet. I'm so to guess. Thank you.
I like the dollars.
I thought our packets were long.
Kendall is a capital K.
Yes.
Oh, I missed that one.
Here it is. Okay. There's not a page number. It's about 3/4 of the way down. A resolution allowing the use of off-highway vehicles on certain roads within the boundaries of San Juan County, whereas the Colorado Revised Statute 33-14-5-108 allows the Board of Commissioners the right to declare the roads. So basically, I'm going to go down to now therefore be it resolved. The Board of County Commissioners of San Juan County, all that the county roads may be used by off-highway vehicles with the following exceptions. County Road 6, also known as the Shrine Road, shall not be open to off-highway vehicles. County Road 34 and 34A, known as the Cemetery Road and the Waterline Road. And the section of County Road 110 between County Road 70, also known as Hancock Gulch, and the town of Silverton boundary.
It's on page 106 of the county packet. If you do want to read it later.
I see it.
Okay.
Thank you.
There, I got it. So this resolution doesn't exactly establish staging so much as it defines endpoints of OHV access. I guess my concern is that it's April and that we're heading into a really busy and intense and emotionally charged time of the year, again, without a lot of new supports in place for the user group. And I see this as creating a lot of unnecessary tension and friction, really, for everybody involved, no matter where you stand on the issue. I think as a user, it's potentially really frustrating. As a community member, it's really frustrating. And we had the joint town and county meeting where we, I think, made some good progress in identifying, where we saw problems. We know where a lot of the problems are. Some of them are we can't anticipate. And I guess I want to get it. I want, as a town, to be proactive about how we support and manage our different user groups. And this does not take a lot of brain power to know that it's going to be problematic. And so I think my first approach is like, what's right in front of us? This county meeting to discuss these endpoints, I think, is the first thing. But, as a town, how can we put forth, a public statement that shows support for,
like a solidarity letter?
Solidarity, yeah, like.
That we stand with whatever they vote for.
Yeah, we want to see what your solutions are and support you in those. And I don't know. I think the staging is not really happening in town, so there isn't much as a town board that we can do. And I don't want the perception to be that we've just kicked the can to the county and it's on you guys now. And I think this issue in particular involves so many different stakeholders and so many interested parties from so many different perspectives that it can't be just one. There's no one answer to this. And I don't know what all the answers are. And I think really the answer is this sort of collaboration and, interface of the stakeholders. And my intention in putting on the agenda tonight was to just potentially look at how we can engage in the county meeting that's coming up right away, but also how we can sort of reach out a hand and say, we're in this together. How can we work together? How can we coordinate? It's right on the horizon. And potentially de-escalate some of what we know to be problematic as we enter this really busy, hectic season.
Here's a thought. Is anyone available to kind of state that at the
I'll be there.
commissioners meeting?
Craft a message.
I can just stay at my seat there when I'm there on Wednesday, move from one meeting to the next. I love it.
Special chat and like actually change.
I take off my ambulance hat, put on my
We'll get you a town trustee.
town board hat. I'd be happy to say,
it's a good
support their ordinance on the table. Yeah, because then there's no confusion about the cemetery road or people, if they can come in and use it or whatever, that's.
Yeah, some
right.
of the overlapping points,
Yeah.
sure. You look a little uncomfortable, Shane.
I don't think it solves any of the problems. I think it's great to raise them, but it doesn't actually solve it. It doesn't address the problems. And I think Gloria and the team have been working on a script for how to answer questions that come up about what the rules are, where parking's allowed, things like that. And I know that there's been work on signage and other messaging, I believe, with the chamber to talk about the right way to present it. Like that's stuff that I think will resolve some of the tension. Like there are people working on it. It's not that there's nothing happening, but I'm not sure how kind of like telling the county, I think we should tell the county we support them in this, but I'm not sure about how like raising all the other issues gets us any closer to a solution or resolving tension. And so I'd like to figure out something that does, if we're going to do
Yeah, to be more effective. I'm very okay with that.
Sorry, Jim, what's up?
Well, my comment was gonna be if they propose moving the boundaries out further past town limits for a safe turnaround points, and it's out of our jurisdiction to even comment on it anyway, so has it resolved itself?
Yeah, but it does, I mean, the reason.
We still want to put up signage.
Yeah, but the reason that we would support this ordinance is because it resolves the potential conflict of someone getting right to the town border.
Yeah, no, I
Just seeing
agree.
like, oh, she's permitted everywhere, and then getting right there and saying, oh, not allowed, and not knowing what to do.
And just the frustration that creates.
I also wanted to let you guys know that we have, when we were talking about signage, we will be stating that in 1 mile, there will be no OHVs allowed. So we'll be doing that, and then it'll say town limits, welcome to Silverton, no HVs allowed.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe what Sally's getting at is just the tension within the community. And so I don't know if there's useful ways to share an update besides a county meeting or a town meeting, because we're not really talking about all the updates of things that are being worked on. But I think there's probably lots of community members out there who don't know that things are happening, that we are working on signage and we are trying to pay attention so that people aren't super confused and showing up right at the border and we have a big old traffic jam mess. And so I think, again, it goes back to kind of how do we tell our community members the really positive work that's happening in county meetings and in trustee meetings that are not still very well attended right now. So I don't know, maybe that gets at it. It's just sharing an update. This is what the county's doing. This is what the town is doing as a staff to quell some of the anxiety. And in the gap of information, people like to make things up.
I mean, I have access to so much town information, and I just barely found out about this item on the county agenda.
Yeah, so I was gonna say I'm one of them.
And I may have just shared for the first time the information of like what town's working on. And so I feel like we should get that out there in some variety of means.
Would you all like a update at the next meeting? Was that staff direction to put on the agenda?
And also maybe like a public facing like PR document that's like, here's what we're doing. So it's not just the people that attend the meetings that can find it, and we can get it out there through more sources.
Okay.
Maybe even with the chamber or some common messaging about this is what we're doing to work on this for the summer, maybe something for the paper, something for the Alpine Trail. I mean, just something to get the word out there that like, it's okay, folks. We're gonna work through it and we are working on it.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Great discussion. I appreciate that.
And thanks for going to the meeting.
So action items, Tyler speaking on behalf of the board to express support for the resolution.
Great.
Everyone, so no objections to that? Cool. And then figuring out a means of communicating the things that town's doing to be clear and helpful leading into the summer.
Okay, proactive management, just the first phase of what that's gonna look like this summer.
All right.
Yeah, because I don't even think people expect us all to have it figured out, but just knowing that like, hey, this is on people's radar, things are happening behind the scene, I think is helpful. And if we know the information, then we can share the talking points and the messaging out as we get questions.
And we're okay with the timing of the like first iteration of that messaging to be around the 25th. Does that seem reasonable? It's 2 weeks. And we can talk about it at the next meeting and then distribute it further after that.
Yep. Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Okay. How do you feel?
Cold.
Yeah. It's been cold in here all winter, but not quite this.
It's colder.
Yeah. All right, so that was the last item on our agenda. So now we'll go to our closing public comment. There is no one left here in person. So for those of you remaining on Zoom, thank you. And if you'd like to make a comment, and Deanne, we saw that your hand was up for a while in between a couple of the agenda items, and we are dying to hear what you wanted to say. If you still are here and would like to say. Okay. All good.
Mistake.
I don't see any hands up on our attendee list on Zoom.
That's too bad.
So we'll go ahead and close public comment. Thank you all for a great meeting. The time is 9:32 PM and I hereby adjourn first meeting of this new iteration of board.
Nice, thanks. Good, everyone.
It's ready for 5 o'clock. I don't know. about You guys. A lot of those lately.
I don't think we.
Trying to get those all out of our system.
Thanks.
It's because it's nice and cold. That takes so long.
You go home and take a nice, warm, long shower.
Hi, guys.
When I try to go to bed with.
Night, Clayton. Thank you, Clayton.